Hi, we're speaking with Sean Guerriero, the head football coach at Springfield. Or is it Springfield Local? Let's get something straight here. Springfield Tigers, is that okay?
Well, Springfield Local.
Okay. Well, here we are again, 2021 this time. It's a little different than last year. Photo day today for you. What's the feeling, what's the buzz around New Middletown for this year?
Oh, I think every year going into the season we all have high expectations. I think this year at the beginning of the season we're going to get tested right off the bat. With South Range, Brookfield, and Geneva. So with those three games, I think our non-schedule is probably the toughest that we've had in some prior years. But anytime we can lead off with South Range with a great, rivalry that we have with them, it'll be a good test for us up front.
We're good friends, so let's get that pretense out of the way, and let's talk about last season, if we may. Wow, what are your thoughts? What's still sticking with you in your craw, maybe?
I just think about, with the run that we've had here, I'm so proud of our kids and how the expectation, how they end up carrying themselves, how they work. I think that with the tradition that we've kind of started with having that expectation, I'm just so proud of how they act and how hard they work to try to, get to that level or be at that level. I think they carry themselves with high standards, with good behavior, and they try to have that leadership, role that they want to carry on. I think our past seniors have done a good job with that. But overall, we have great kids here. We have a great community, and with that, it's just nice to see and be a part of right now. Just the high level that we end up having.
But just to break it down just a little bit, is that more of a teaching thing, or is it gone? What do we think about last year? Do we still dwell on that in any way, and what do you dwell on?
No, we still talk about that. There's some things that we do during the off season with our seniors. I have things that we call like senior meetings, and we talk about things on how we become good leaders, and then we'll talk about with our kids who was a good leader from last year, or prior years, who was a bad leader, or at times, I'm not saying everybody can be a bad leader at a time, but maybe some situations where we didn't carry ourselves in the correct way. So we talk about those things. So if those kids are in those situations, they know what to do. They can kind of expect it, and they can kind of know how to handle situations. I know with leadership-wise, I don't think that you always have to be talking. That's something that we end up doing. That doesn't have to be screaming and yelling or getting on somebody. We can just lead by example, making sure you're here on time, making sure you're running to the football, making sure you're doing all those little things right that, that teams have to do to be good, being disciplined. I think that's more of the attitude and kind of maybe it's the tradition that we started with just having good habits and leading by example with our kids.
Coach's dream of getting to the state title game, and you've been there twice and it didn't work out for you. Is that just let it go and start all over again, round 3? Because you have Bo Brungard, and that gives you a chance no matter what else. I'm just being honest from an outsider looking in.
Well, I do think that. I'm very fortunate to end up playing in it. I'm very fortunate that we've been in the situation, but I do give a lot of credit with the kids and what they've done. But with that, and when you play those type of seasons, I got a bad taste in my mouth still. I want to go out and win it. I think that's the goal when you go into seasons is to be a state champion, and those are things that you do. So all the success that we've had and all the kids have stepped up in opportunities, but I want to win one. That's the goal for us. I think that's how my staff ends up carrying themselves. So with the success and the happiness that we've had, I still got a thorn in my side, walking away from that, knowing we had a chance last year and we were in a good position, but we didn't come up, with the victory.
A lot of coaches who I interview, just like yourself, tell me they're going to win a state title, and that's all great at the beginning of the season. But this is the third time, and why are we still a serious threat in your opinion? What's to be excited about to have a chance to get there again, whether that's an ultimate goal or not? I'm sure it is, but for the team to get back to the state title, what's besides the obvious and including the obvious?
Yeah, well, I still think with that, and that's one thing that I try to keep our kids focused on, is the next game. We got to make sure that we continue to get better from the first week of doubles to the second week of doubles, then, going into weeks 1 through week 10. I think I stay pretty focused on the next game and making sure that we have goals for ourselves to improve, because if you just start off with that state title, you might end up missing something or going. So we got to make sure we still climb the ladder, you know what I mean? And I talk about that by winning our league, making the playoffs, and then, you know what I mean, being a regional champ and then going to. So we got to make sure we still stay focused in climbing that ladder with that. But I think with our kids and the seniors that we have, this is a great senior group that's been involved in the past too. We have a lot of kids in that senior group with a lot of experience coming back, and I think that's what we have to, you know what I mean, make sure we showcase and make sure we put, you know, the kids in the situation where they can make plays. I think with having, you know what I mean, Bo back there, I think we got a good line, you know what I mean, a good line coming back with experience. I think we got skilled kids coming back with experience, and I think that helps, you know what I mean. When you say it's nice to have Bo, it is, but we still have to have people around him where they can't just, you know what I mean, keep their eyes on him. So I definitely think we've been fortunate enough to have athletes around that are going to make plays and make plays in space, and that's what we want to do. And I think we try to end up putting defenses in bad position to say, okay, you're going to put 8 in the box and stack Bo, or are we going to have one-on-one on the outside or the inside and make sure we can capitalize on those things? I think that's been key when you look even through the last playoff run with the kids in playoff situations, whether it was Lucas Yama catching, you know what I mean, catching the ball in the last 3 seconds of the Norwayne game. Kids have stepped up when we needed to make plays, and that just makes Bo more dangerous.
Well, having a quarterback back, regardless of who it is, being in the state championship twice, it gives you just a huge confidence advantage, I would imagine, for not only him as a player, but the guys looking at him who leading the way this time, and not, you know, sophomore, junior.
I do think our kids look, you know what I mean, in the huddle, that, you know what I mean, that they respect him. He has a great leadership in there, and that's what they're going to do. I think when the game comes down to it, I think he's going to have the ball in his hands, which we want. But I think our kids go to him. But like I said, I still think it's still a team game. We still got to look at all 3 phases of it, and we have some work to do in there. I think the main thing as a staff that we're trying to do is make sure we continually build depth. I think that's something that in the past 2 years that we've had, and this year we're going to have to try to build that throughout the season. So if I had a weak point, I think it's going to be our depth starting off, and we'll see. I think our kids have been getting better throughout playoffs, and it can't just be our 1s. It has to be our 2s, 3s, and our 4s to make sure if we need somebody or somebody goes down, we have another quality kid in it, you know what I mean, stepping up and being involved. So that's something that we've kind of focused on, is building that depth and putting kids in good situations where they're going to succeed. So I think that'll be more of the key of this year.
Without getting into the weeds real good, you know, you lost to Tyndall and your kicker and big outside receivers. Who are some of these guys that are going to step up for you?
I think with that too, and that's why I say with the senior group, we do have a lot of experience coming back, because when you do play so many games, we can do that during the season. Jake Joyce was a kid, who didn't have a ton of receptions, but he had a game where he had 4 touchdowns. Nick Slike was a quality receiver for us last year. Sean Gardner caught a couple big balls. I know in the second playoff game he had a huge touchdown. So hopefully with the games and the opportunities these kids make, that they'll have time to end up, building that confidence and making sure they understand what the defense is giving us and what windows we have to get into. And I think our coaches do a phenomenal job in practice, making sure we give them a ton of different looks, and whether teams are going to attack us and blitz or they're going to sit back. I think that with experience in playing so many games in the past 2 years, I think that's something that's a positive force. In the past 2 years, we've had 10 extra weeks. That's a whole other season where our kids are taking snaps and have been getting different looks. So hopefully we got to make sure that we use that to our advantage, and our kids make sure no matter what a defense gives us, we're taking the right steps and doing the right things for us to be successful.
There's no Austin Tyndall, but we have who?
Bo Snyder's coming back as a running back. We moved Joey Sandine, who was a wideout for us last year, didn't get a ton of time, but we moved him in the backfield. And again, with that, I think our coaches do a great job of putting kids in situations where they're going to be successful. So we got to make sure that we look at our team and like that. Move and Joey right now was a kid that with Nesbitt, he was a wideout his junior year, moved him to the backfield. He had a great year. So we just got to make sure, again, we surround Bo with as many weapons as we can. And I think we've done that so far.
Little number 8 was having a nice little scrimmage the other night.
Sean Gardner did.
Yeah.
You know, that's a kid that we're trying to get in some situations where if you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna give him one-on-one coverage, he's got a chance, to burn you. So he has great hands, he has great speed, he got a little wiggle with him. So Sean Dell's done a great job, progressing throughout the summer.
Defensively, real quick, Bo's back there in the safety.
Yeah.
Just some guys,
Up front, I think that A.J. Stallsmith and Marshall Yelkin with Zeke Worshencroft have done a great job up front with our D-line. There's 3 guys out of our 4 that have experience. Bo Snyder's going to end up taking that linebacker spot. Whether he's on the outside or inside, I think he can play. Every position is a linebacker, so we'll do a good job there. Aaron Groner's a kid that can play linebacker or move down. To a D end or an outside linebacker, so he's done some positive things for us last year. In the secondary, we got Nick Slake, Bo Brungard, Joey Sandine back. So I think, like I said, with the experience that we have coming back, we got to make sure we put our kids in great situations where they can get to the ball, and that's just the mentality of our defense. We got to be able to run to the football, and try to cause fumbles, turnovers, things of that nature. Get to the football, and that's just our defense. I think has kind of been a little bit shadowed by our offense because of Bo, but our defense has been great running to the football, causing turnovers and getting 3 and out. So that's a big positive for us.
I kind of liken Bo to Cam Hollabaugh from Kennedy, but I think Bo's even more physical as a football player and as a runner with the football. Why aren't others shifting gears real quick? Why she's an offer, but is there a ceiling on Bo, or what's the deal?
I don't know. I think Bo's kind of put himself out there, but when you look at him, everybody kind of thinks he's a runner. Which he is, but I think because of our playoff run, he's made some throws in the past 2 years that have been crazy good. So with him, I just don't know. Everybody wants that, that 6'2", 6'3" quarterback that can run and move, but Bo's a player. Even defensively, I don't think he gets enough credit. As a safety, he made a play in the Trimble game one time where they ran toss. It was for a 2-yard loss, and he was lined up at 8-10 yards in the backfield. So he has a lot of physical ability. He has great speed, and he has a nose for the ball. So him as a player overall, he's probably been the best that I've coached.
As candid as you could be, what do you tell your team for this year, week 1, and for the season, and what's the main objective?
We just talk about that everybody's going to give us their best shots. For the success that we've had, I think we do have kind of a bullseye on our back. But with us, we got to make sure, like I said, that we continue to get better. We continue to take advantage of our opportunities, and we just got to make sure that we work hard and we just play Springfield football.
Does this team? It's an obvious question, but I'm going to ask: do you have the talent to get third time the charm?
Well, we hope. I'm never a guy who's
what makes you confident? Maybe I want to ask your confidence level to make third time a charm.
I think our kids are pretty confident, but like I said, I think this will be the first year we have 2 great teams that have come back with a ton of experience. That we're going to find out how good we are right now, and it's not just us. I think South Range, and I know Dan does a great job with this program, but they've had a lot of success too. So last year missing the game, I think everybody kind of missed that a little bit. So I'm just excited that week 1's going to be here in our home stand. And I think this place will be packed. You know what I mean? People kind of come up with Tiger Nation. People talk about it, and our kids just got to make sure that we're the most disciplined team that night.
Skip being the head coach right now, do you have any regrets how it ended last year? Would you do anything differently if you could? Or is it gone?
No, that's gone. That's something I haven't focused. There's different things that you wish you had seen or called or done, but I think with that, I'm so proud of how our kids played and going through 4 quarters and playing with that urgency and that effort. When you're playing in a situation like that where you're not playing, the first round of playoffs. Those were 2 quality teams. Coldwater was a great football team, and with our kids, like I said, I don't want to say I was happy to be there, but for me, it motivates me. That's something where if we got to make sure that we're crossing every T and dotting every I. I think for myself, that's a motivator for us and our staff to make sure that we don't put ourselves in any bad situations. And if we can get a kid in a better situation, that's our job.
So double starts next week. Going to do a little celebrating with the fellas here.
There's some things that I do. Like I said, we do some senior meeting stuff. So I'm going to take the seniors up on Thursday. We're going to have a little bit of time up at Geneva. I'm taking them to the lake, so we'll have a little food, fun, and making sure everybody can swim and do that kind of stuff. I definitely think on how hard our kids work, that they do have to be rewarded a little bit. We got to be able to sit back and kind of talk about the memories or talk about some of our goals together as a staff, because I do think, this year, and I've said this in the past, that our seniors are going to take us where they want to go.
Yeah. Well, I have favorites. I'm guilty on it, obviously, and you're one of them. And I really enjoy this team and community a lot, and I wish you guys a lot of luck. third time's a charm. I'm believing in it. I hope the team and the community is as well. And God bless you, Sean.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yep.